Hello. Hey. Right, I'm back. I must say, I got myself into a little bit of a pickle at the mail delivery store or mail distribution store, and they were incredibly good to me, and were able to provide me with assistance. And I think it was generally down to the fact that I was fairly pleasant to them. So you walk around, you go, oh, I've got to be picking up this mail, and you act all grumpy. I think sometimes it is always very nice to be very pleasant to people, and you especially people that are just working in those jobs which are they know they're going to get a ton of crap that they need to deal with all the time. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, just when you go around, always try and be as best as you can with people that you first meet. And it really serves you incredibly well sometimes. So thank you very much to those people. Can't quite give them too much information out because they did do a little bit of a dodgy for me, and they probably get disciplinary for what they did. But it was very nice of them. Anyway, and I was the genuine person to actually pick up the item anyway. Right. Okay. So where was I in my trail of thought? So, I'm standing there in this little pit of men wonder, standing around at awe, looking at this little printing machine, and this one of the few times I think this is a wonderful thing. Especially when I remember, I remember just like certain little moments where I think, oh my god, this is going to change everything. This that was always an amazing thing for me. I remember when the internet. I was one of the early adopters of the internet, and I remember just installing Windows. That was like an impressive process. It was like, oh my god, look at the graphics of what was the really early one that was quite revolutionary. I can't remember. Maybe Windows 95. Or was there anything before that? There was a very DOSy based one before that. But yeah, I think it was maybe that one which I was using the internet for. So maybe I adopted the internet in 1995. Yeah, that sounds. I thought I might have been a little bit earlier than that. Anyway, yeah, but the Windows experience is like, oh my god. This is going to be amazing. Look at the graphics. Look at the quality of the sound. The sound is actually like a CD. This is going to change everything. And also, and then obviously once you try and get the internet, you realise that there's about it's the slowest, annoying thing of all time, and anything on an application was far better. Like a computer game was incredibly faster and better and than any sort of internet. But it was fascinating in the sense that people knew you had like this. Oh my god, this might change everything. But yeah, you couldn't quite work out what it would be. That's always an interesting perspective to take. I always remember with digital media and things like that, where people were saying, "Oh yeah, like MP3s." I must admit, I have poo-pooed off a lot of ideas in the past, which I didn't think that would really take off. And it's interesting when you are corrected on these things. I think that's a great lesson in life where you think, okay, well, this ain't gonna ever come to anything. This is just all a little bit silly, and you're proven incorrect. And I think that's that's a very humbling and important experience to go through, where you're just like, oh, maybe I was wrong. And I'm sure that I remember I always am the man of bold statements in the pubs, talking to my mates and things like that, and they will quite happily remind me of the fact of what I mentioned when I was incorrect on, and be quite quiet on the things that I would be correct on. But that's the way sometimes things roll. But that's it's the humbling things of making bold predictions, where you can get things quite incredibly wrong, and you can get things right, but you would never really get too much of a recognition for it. People would just go, "Oh yeah, that was going to happen anyway." Everyone saw that one. Not like you're Nostradamus or anything. Yeah, it's. It is a wondrous thing where you see that first. I'm just trying to think of any other sort of new technologies which sort of I saw for the first time, and I was just like, my gosh, this is incredible. Oh, I remember the Wii. I don't know why the Wii's just gone into my mind, but remember the Nintendo Wii. It started to use controllers which were just not like a mouse and keyboard or a gamepad. It was where you're just tapping these little buttons, but an actual physical item which had motion sensors in them that could bat things back, which was amazing. I thought, yeah, okay, this is incredible. And whenever I seem to, I've got this thing about me where I purchase items. I always try and purchase for friends and family. I never really. It's weird when I buy these entertaining things. I try and think of like how my mates would like it and stuff like that, and I'll just go, right, okay, I'm going to buy this. I'm going to buy about four of the controllers, even though it would cost me ridiculous how much controllers cost. It can cost you about $200 nowadays to just get, or even more, to get 4 controllers. But that was really important to me, just to have the social element. And then I would have my friends over, and then they would absolutely stuff me at different games, and then I'll be like, oh, okay, this is a bit annoying. I'm losing all these games, and where you play The Winner Stays On, that's not really great fun. So, have I taken a wrong turn? Yes, I bloody have. All right, well, that means that this podcast is going to be a little bit more extended for you guys. Where am I going? Oh my gosh, this is... Oh, can I turn that way? No, I cannot. It's always nice when your GPS is saying that you definitely need to take this turn right, where all the road sign says you can only go left. And then okay, well, I'm going to have to disagree with you, GPS, and on top of that, you're going to have to recalculate my route and then add a few more minutes. Let's see how many more minutes it's going to add to me this wrong turn. Recalculating. Oh no. Recalculating. It thinks I can do this U-turn now, which I cannot. Unless it goes green right now. Maybe I could do this. Sorry, I'm in a very dangerous spot. Oh, fuck. Nope, can't do it. The car came. Just as I was trying to do this maneuver, I just got into an extremely dangerous spot where a car just shot down me. So I have to drive all the way down. Oh, nice correction of 3 or 4 minutes. Yeah. Bloody annoying fast cars. If everyone drove nice and steadily, we would all get to a place pretty quickly. Anyway, interesting port. I'm actually going to a major shipping port where I'm seeing all the big scaffolding cranes which pick up the shipping containers. which is a fascinating thing to look at, actually, to be honest. Seeing that that's... I'm talking about mail deliveries. Obviously, I had to get to a mail delivery spot which has all these things beside it anyway, but it is an absolutely fascinating and awe-inspiring thing to see these massive shipping container items where all this crap gets sent around the world. And maybe as I'm trying to predict the future, maybe all of this will one day be diminished, and these scaffoldings become relics, iron structures that need to be just taken down and then used for scrap metals to be used for 3D printing applications. Yeah, kind of interesting stuff. Let me see if this is all right. Maybe I can turn around here. Apparently, I might be able to turn around here, which would be very nice. Or I'm in a spot above her. One problem with this car is that I haven't got the greatest of turning circles. Which, alright, now I go for it. Which I'm going to go for now. Alright. I have improved things, but it's been an interesting journey, actually. This is just like a really straight, long, wide road, which is the most easiest road you could drive down possible, with not many cars on there anyway. This is the way I'd love roads to be normally. And you just see these big cranes everywhere. Sorry, I'm not being very entertaining here, but yeah, on the sense of how 3D printing could revolutionize everything. You think of so everyone thinks about just like this little plastic model maker that you can just make little mini army action figures from this little 3D printer, and obviously you have the geek element to it. So whenever something new gets produced, the ones that can just absorb their entire lives into it, and the ones that probably don't require that many decide to have less showers and focus less on their appearance to just focus into an item. They're what are described as the geeks, but obviously these are the ones that are going to be empowered the most eventually into the future because they have the highest investment into that ideal. But so these guys, the construct of just these little minifigures is not going to be the only application for these 3D printers, and you would expect that at some point this is the one thought that just popped to mind when I was walking down the stairs, was that what you would potentially need is rather than just having that one, like that there's this certain grade of plastic that you require, and there's a hard plastic and there's a lighter plastic, and it comes in this like string form. I could be totally talking out my arse a little bit here, but I think that's how it's produced. This 3D printing thing could extend quite a bit further, in the sense that it might be all at home, and you might have a certain amount of materials that you can use beyond that. So like I remember always like brass is always a very is like a, I don't know with it. So there's a big ball of string that I just run over. Hopefully it doesn't get tied up in my wheel. But yeah. So this. So brass. I was talking about brass, yeah, because I remember like when you was doing like a lot of welding and things like that, you always use brass as a welding sort of material. Maybe that could be like an applicable, obviously dependent on the costs involved. You could have some kind of smeldering application for it. I think I've taken another wrong turn. Let's see if I can take this one. I don't know if this is going to work. No, I have absolutely gone to nowhere. Oh, this is going to be a... Well, I've just extended it maybe a little bit longer. This this journey, which is... maybe it worked out all right. I don't know. Anyway, this is a very eventful journey anyway, and we can describe on more things any further. So yeah, so brass. I always remember brass. Goldy type material, always quite interesting to me. You could always try and palm that off as a bit of gold, bit of gold sometimes. But you could have these little vats at the side of your house. So you could have this little installation part, and then you could have this fantastic robotic arm. Everyone might have this little robotic arm machine area in the future where it could reconstruct quite complicated materials. And so, I mean, I guess the original, like, you might have to have this on a community level basis. Now, obviously, applications that you can do at home, you could do 3D printing just to do tiny little things, and plastic applications, which are where the materials are quite durable and you can replace them, and all those kind of things. You might get a lot of things like plastic screws and things like that, depending on how the material's running out and stuff. But it'll be interesting in those kind of terms. One thing I do potentially predict is that you might have, because of the nature of high tech industries and the amount of money that it would cost to build this incredible robotic arm, which could do a lot of do a fantastic amount of builds and recomponents and all these items. You might have something like a robotic arm store, which you could go down to, which might be more on sort of like a factory sort of level thing, but it could be so popular that everyone goes down to these little these factory stores, and then you request the certain item that you require to build. You could just be requesting to build a piece for your car that you might have broken up, and you could be constructing something completely from scratch. But it would be very interesting to see how the application of all of those items would... Am I running out of distance? No. Let's... Okay, sorry about that. Oh. So, yeah, so just going back to the point. So you might have these communal areas where maybe just like a store or a factory type of store where you'd go down and you could use and extract these certain areas. And how does that... Questions that get raised at that point is, how does that revolutionize everything? So now I'm a big proponent of crashing down the barriers of change, the things that restrict us from learning and all those kind of things, and improving ideas expansion. So what I would prefer to see is more open source designs, which so you potentially could have an open source car, an open source house, an open source number of things where the ideas and the applications are applied, and you can use you can produce items that would compete against like a major sort of industrial sort of car manufacturer and things like that. And I think car manufacturers always make like they're not surviving too good at the moment in essence anyway. So in the sense of extremities, we potentially could see auto. I mean, I guess like the tooling and the efficiency and the production line is going to be a lot better and more efficient than what we could have in this little library store of with this one single arm that is universal to a number of items, rather than just like this perfectly bespokely designed factory line system which can produce cars. But from an industrial and a design method, you'd have this. So in the past, you would have all like a factory line to produce an item, and it would be tooled out and it would be constructed, and you'll have certain molds which would cost hundreds of thousands, if not millions, to create. You now have the flexibility to redesign and recraft things at a rapid level, so you could have an incredible expansion in the sense of design. And when you work out that one structure didn't quite work out that well, you can quickly adapt it to something else from just literally the next design and people's opinion of how that product was created. So there lies the a little bit of an issue, because how do you extract value from this item? So you do have the open source mythology of people all vying to create something. Now, I guess you could potentially. So at some point in time, people want to extract wealth. People like to, in return of goods, get fundamental sort of some kind of return of value. Now, maybe if the world is very open sourced and everything's fairly generic in the terms of how all the items are produced, everyone's going to go for the standardized car, or maybe like the standardized sports car and things like that. Engineers are going to be scratching their heads of going, oh well, everything's open source now. What's the point of even bothering? Like this, I get paid a fairly decent wage, and now everything's open source. I can't make any money out of all of these things. And potentially one thing that I could think of is that you would still require expertise in the creation of something new. So in the environment of something new, so imagine if somebody was very wealthy and decided, okay, well, I don't want to go for open source car 1. I want to try and make something better. I want to go for open source car 1.1. And to do that, I'm going to require these certain design specifications, which I'll throw in the word bespoke again. Are bespoke to my requirements. Now, somebody isn't going to have the greatest idea of how to produce and create all of these items off the top of his head and scratch out these design plans and code them in to produce this car. However, you possibly would have a raft of engineers that would be able to produce this car for that person, and give that person that sort of deed, not save the coding and the design scripts, and keep it to themselves, obviously, because they want to keep the wealth. Which is fine. Hopefully they'll come to a point where they would like to release it and share the ideas. But in terms of just the initial extraction of they want to just get some kind of return for the value that they've created for somebody. I would see no harm in them keeping something for themselves for a design pattern and things like that. I'm sure you could have those areas of security. However, once those ideas are released at any stage, if the pass of information, there's not really much recourse that you could get from reclaiming those designs. And then once the design is spread, then it goes everywhere. So once you've created this fantastic model 1.1, the design will be released very. People will just be obviously looking at the car, and if they see the model design and they think, "Oh, that's kind of nice," people will try and instantly replicate that in itself anyway, and potentially. You might have certain arrangements where you purchase the designs itself, so that design becomes in your ownership, and you might just decide to just release it out to the market anyway, so people can share your ideas or your theories behind it. This design, I guess if it's like mechanical and it's inside the hood, you won't necessarily understand it. And one day this car or flying machine just does something that is out of what you have seen before, and then you'll be thinking, how can I recreate that for myself? That's like just certain areas of where I would think that where design could lead us, and where sort of 3D printing could lead us, and the world of the open source could throw in there as well, and fight and the patents and the copyrights necessarily. Well, if you didn't have the structure of government enforcing the copyright and the law and all those kind of things, you would have a tremendous push on technology expansion. And the ideas would just generate. The engineer's sort of job for life would not necessarily be that fantastic, but the pace and the rate of change in the engineer's mind, that would be just continuously expanding, just due to the fact of you having to create very specialized designs and releasing them, and always be thinking, would be an amazing thing for designers in itself, because they know that one idea necessarily would not stand there. You do not have to create one design and then just sit back and enjoy the royalties. You would have to just continuously be pushing your mind to strive for something new all the time. So I would say definitely you would need that sort of that initial point where you could create bespoke things for wealthy people, which has always been the fundamentals of design. The richest, like the people that walked around the mobile bricks, were the people that revolutionized and got the bespoke marketed things, and then eventually it trickled down to everybody else. But the design would be the designs and stuff like that would be with the rich people. They get the specifications, they get what they pay for, and then then once the ideas are out there, then I don't think it'll be too long before it gets captured, and then it's re-implemented to rest into the market. But for you to be the first kid on the block to have the coolest new thing is going to be the most valuable, the most sort of what's the word? The coolest thing to have, to be the newest guy around with this flash car which turns heads and potentially gives you that sort of higher sense of status, and gives you gets the girls to turn around and all those kind of things. That's where the driver is in the designs and things. I know I'm focusing a lot on cars and the application of just that's the obvious machinery sort of thing which I can see in that perspective. I reckon there's a lot more. There's a hell of a lot more ground to cover when it comes to 3D printing. I remember just like looking at it myself and thinking maybe the engineers of the future don't need to really be just sitting back and what's be looking at just like your traditional arts of engineering. I mean, I guess there's the traditional methods and the basic concepts and logics are very important, but the area of focus would be just purely on 3D printing, because if once you've mastered that source and those kind of commands, then you will be able to master back into engineering in itself, and that's where you potentially could see the money lies. Now it's really funny because you could, with this new industry, you can see that it's going to absolutely smash to smithereens huge vast amounts of industries, and mega corporations are just going to get blown out of the water. Potentially like Mao Industries and car manufacturers and machine manufacturers are just every single tangible hard piece of hardware, computer manufacturers, potentially all could just be smashed to smithereens by the open source potential of ideas. Now, the virtual anything that could be put onto a virtual web, like movies and music, got spread very quickly because people had the ability to share items, and it just like there's no real way to sort of keep a control on it. And I think people are realizing the fact that the extraction of wealth can only happen when you really go down to the cinema. And I don't know how Blu-ray sales of discs go, but I don't think that they would have been anywhere as popular as what they would have been in the era of just your normal DVDs and VHSs of the past. So there's definitely something to be said about the initiation point of being the first person to see it. Maybe you get all the, so especially when you buy a new car, you get to design there's a certain bespoke element of you getting to choose how the car's kitted out, how you want leather seats and stuff like that. Maybe you can get your license plates personalized, and that's where I see that markets is always going to be there. The personalization of things is always going to be there, but the once the idea, like the virtual idea, so like the movie and the music can be shared with much easier than the actual production of just creating a CD and sending it on, or you going to this website and then keying in your bank account details to return that audio file. When you find it's easier just to share, people are always going to just go from A to B and just try and require the easiest. Get the easiest item possible. Now, so we haven't had that whack yet, and people don't quite perceive it yet. It is the whack of the machined good. The machined good, all the machine companies are going to go wayward, as are the record companies of the past. And slowly the movie production industries as well. I get the movie production industry will be there, but they are they're having to re-augment their industry in terms of the median of how they can extract wealth from the customer. And one of the major ones is obviously going down to the actual official cinema itself. Merchandising, but like all toys is going to be potentially something of an item where you can get it anyway from any perspective. And then you have, so this is all very tangible things. Not to mention, while this is going on, and it's definitely something to focus on while this is happening in the future, you're getting the full immersion of the we call it gaming, but virtual reality and Sorry, I just had a really awkward turn and people weren't giving me the tiny bit of space to do it in. Yeah, so so while this is happening, people might like all of these fantastical machinery items and these ability to build jet planes and all those kind of things, but imagine the ability where, say, if you in the old days you had to get onto a flight to get to somebody, you potentially could create the virtual reality world of being in somebody's room completely. So from every angle, every picture, you have got, you're in that person's room, and therefore you have no reason to buy all of these machined items for you to get there in the first place. So that is going to be a bit of a hit on the market. Maybe, so seeing that, I might just go, okay, well, I need to go to Japan for a meeting. I just need to put on my virtual reality headset, and hey presto, I'm literally fully in there. Other than the maybe my senses, which are not there, I'm there in my ears and my eyes, which pretty much covers most areas. And seeing that if you might be just sitting down or standing up, you can definitely recreate those in wherever you are in a virtual sense. So remember, like in Star Trek, you've got the holodeck. Maybe that the area of high manufacturing and 3D printing could be all focused on your holodeck. Your holodeck needs to be highly advanced and highly tuned up. So maybe the designs and all that kind of stuff could be based upon the virtual reality environment that you can create for your oneself. Whoa, the mind's going crazy with me here now. So there you go. You need to just set up yourself a business where you design bespoke holodecks, and that you should have a job for life, really. Yeah, very very interesting applications anyway for both of those things. I think I will cover the area of where technology, especially in the virtual sense, is going. But very interesting terms of topic when it comes to 3D printing, and we don't know where it's going to lead us. I do think with the beginnings of technologies, industries and governments sometimes like to fight it at first. I remember just watching on the media straight away. First thing we see with the 3D printing, 3D guns. My gosh, we can make a gun out of plastic. Boom, there you go. We've got to put restrictions on this technology, and we've got to control it and all those kind of things. And I think that's such a shame. We really should be. Obviously it's not going to be curtailed. I don't think you can really sort of hush this technology down or clamp it down, because of the application and the ability to improve life itself from this is going to be amazing. But you will have that stage where people will be shocked and awed and complexed by this new technology that comes onto the market, and you will have the industrialized countries and the industrialized corporations trying to keep it down and saying that this is a breach of our copyrights. People were stealing our ideas, and they really start to think to themselves, this is going to cost us too much in lawyers' fees and everything else to start hunting down anybody who's used this 3D printer before, that has stolen our idea which we created in the past, which is a derivative of a number of ideas which we attained from ourselves in the past anyway, from other people. This is really not worth it, and we're going to have to start downsizing and start creating more and more bespoke products for people. So interesting in that sense and term. Then so you're going to get the diminishment of industries, and you can see, look how bad it is for us, and maybe the technology might not be that great at first, and the applications might not go as far as what we can perceive. But once we unlock the freeness of that market and the ideas shoot like a machine gun bullets into it, then you just get absolutely incredible thought expansion kicking off, and an entire new industry and world which changes the way our life is run. One actual thought is that it's always interesting how once we got mail delivery services, pretty much all of the junk in the shopping malls got taken out, and all we had is the remnants of clothes left there. So like fashion goods and women's items seem to be fairly impenetrable to the change. And I guess accessories probably might be for women as fashion and stuff like that. Accessories might be one of the challenges for that sort of shopping mall area. But an interesting thing, but potentially because of the amount of different materials and everything else, and it's a very interesting perception, and how it definitely wears on the person and how bespoke the item is. And I think that's the main key draw, is that because people like to try on things. Something can look fantastic on a hanger, and then once they try it on them, it just looks bloody awful. So the mail order market, I know that you can order clothes and stuff like that and fashion, but it hasn't really. That's the only industry where the shopping malls has sort of been able to stand up to. And I just wonder how, with the advent of producing things and items inside your own house, whether that still will be there. Now, I just think to myself straight away, everyone used to have sewing machines. Like my nan used to have sewing machines in the past, and it's really weird how everyone used to do things at home and all those kind of things, and that was the old style 3D printer of the past, and it was applied to clothing. And it's interesting how that regressed into being the most untouchable thing. That's really interested in that respect, the sewing machine. And then maybe in some way we could get this very advanced Singer automated clothing machine, which had its own clothing materials and dyes, and reproduced it that way, so that you could create Gucci source code styled clothing. Who knows? But that's it's a very interesting twist of fate, where you think, okay, what machineries and 3D printers did we have in the past that was applied? And the only goddamn thing that we had, which we got rid of, which was bespoke and designing and the closest thing we had to a 3D printer, we just doesn't really sit inside a home anymore at all, which is absolutely fascinating. So there's some ideas and thoughts for you. Hope you enjoyed the show. I think I enjoyed that one myself, even though took a few diversions and went to some crazy places and continuously feared people smashing into the back of my car. It has been a very pleasant show. So thank you very much, and we will speak very shortly, or maybe in a day or two. Anyway, thank you. Bye bye.